Hi, in today's video I will show you all slmgr options for Windows Server. So as I said, in this video I will show you all slmgr options for Windows Server. As you can see, I am on the official Microsoft site, on the Microsoft documentation site with the article that is called slmgr.vbs options for obtaining volume activation information. So it applies to Windows Server 2025, 22, 19 and 16. I am currently using the Windows Server 2025, as you can see, so it also applies to me. First of all, I will show you all the options, then I will open PowerShell and in PowerShell I will show you how to use some of them. Not all, because it would be very long and some of them are really, I would say, dangerous, but I will show you how to, for example, display a basic information about your license, how to check if your operating system is active. So this is what we are going to do in this video. But first of all, we will start with what is slmgr.vbs, because slmgr.vbs, as you can see here, is a virtual basic script included in Windows that serves as a command line tool for managing the operating system licensing and activation. It allows you to install and change product keys, activate Windows, and check its current activation or licensing status. It also supports tasks such as extending the activation grace period and troubleshooting activation-related issues. And the syntax of this command looks like this. You have slmgr.vbs, then you have the computer name, user with the password, and the option. And as you can see in the note, in this article, the square brackets, so these ones, enclose optional arguments. So as you can see, some of the arguments are optional. And angle brackets like this enclose placeholders. When you type these statements, omit the brackets and replace the placeholders by using corresponding values. For information about software products that use volume activation, see the document written for those applications. And now, using slmgr on remote computers, maybe you will not read that because this is, not that really important, because we will go into general slmgr options. So you have general slmgr.vbs options. You have computer name of remote computer. The default is the local. So if you are not going to use it, you will the slmgr command will use your local computer. So in that case, you don't have to use it. For example, I'm not going to use it, where I will show you in the PowerShell how to use this command. Account that have the required privileges on the remote computer, and the password for the account that has the required privileges on the remote computer. And now, you have some global options. As you can see, you have a lot of them. You have, for example, /IPK and the product key. So it tries to install the product key. The product key provided by the parameter is confirmed valid and applicable to install the operating system. You have some options, some other information, but basically you have to add the product key, and this command will try to activate it. So I will show you how to do it, but not with the real product key. I will show you just how you can try to do it, how you can try to make it. You have this command ATO and the activation ID. It basically tries to activate your system. So for retail additions and volume systems that have KMS host key or a multiple activation key, installed ATO prompts Windows to try online activation. So as I said, this is working like that. For systems that have a generic volume license install, this option prompts KMS activator attempt system that are set to suspend automatic KMS activation attempts as STAO still try KMS activation when ATO is run. Note that the starting in Windows 8, Windows and Windows Server 2012, the STAO option is deprecated. Use the act type option instead. And now, the parameter activation ID expands to ATO support to identify a Windows edition install on the computer. Specifying the activation ID parameter isolates the effects of the option to the edition associated with that activation ID. Run slmgr.vbs/diff-all to get the activation IDs for the installed version of Windows. If you need to support other applications, see the guidance provided by the application for further instructions. So this is how it looks like. KMS activation doesn't require elevated privileges. However, online activation does require elevation, or the start user or the standard user operation registry value must be set to allow unprivileged users extra access to the software protection service. So this is how it looks like. Now we have the option DLI. This option is simple. I will also show you that. It basically displays license information. By default, DLI displays the license information for the installed active Windows edition, so you don't have to use this activation ID, but specifying activation ID parameter displays the license information for the specified edition that is associated with the activation ID. Specifying all as parameter displays license information for the applicable installed products. This operation doesn't require elevated privileges. And you have the DLV. It is basically the same, but it displays the detailed information. So here you have the basic, here you have the detailed information. So I will show you both options in a second. By default, DLV displays the license information for installed operating system. So this is the same as we had it above. So maybe I'm not going to read it. And you have XPR. XPR displays the activation expiration date for the product. By default, the date refers to the current Windows edition and is primarily useful for KMS clients because MAK and retail activation is perpetual. And again, specifying the activation ID parameter displays the activation expiration date of the specified edition that's associated with the window with that activation ID. The operation doesn't require elevated privileges, so I will show you all three of them. Now we have some more advanced options that might be, I would say, pretty dangerous if you don't know what you are doing. So you have the CPK and Y. It basically removes your key from the registry. So some servicing operations require the product key to be available in the registry during out-of-box experience operation. The CPKY option removes the product key, as I said, from the registry to prevent this key from being stolen by malicious code. So you should use it only when you know what you are doing and you have to do it. But it's not recommended just to do it for the test, for example. For retail information that deploy keys, the best practice is to run these options. This option isn't required for MAK or KMS hashkeys because this is the default behavior for those keys. This operation is required only for other types of keys whose default behavior isn't clear. Isn't too clear to the key from registry. This operation must be run in the elevated command prompt window. Now we have the option IRC with the license file. This option installs the license file specified by the required parameter. This license might be installed as a troubleshooting measure to support token-based activation or a part of manual installation of an onboard application. So this is what this command is doing. You have IRC. This option reinstall all licenses stored in this path. These are known good copies that were stored during the installation. So this is another option. You have rearm. This option retails activation timers. The rearm process is also so-called by sysprep/generalize. So this is one more option. You have rearm app, resets the licensing status of the specified app, so you have to specify the app in the place of application ID. You have rearm SKU, resets the licensing status of specified SKU. And you have, for example, UPK. This option uninstalls the product key of the current Windows edition after a restart. This option will be in unlicensed state unless a new product key is installed. Optionally, you can use activation ID parameter to specify a different install product. This operation must be run from elevated command prompt window. You have DTI, displays information ID, display installation ID for offline activation, and you have ATP, activate product by using user provided confirmation ID. So this is how it works, and you have the client options, and maybe I'm not going to read it all because you have a lot of this, as you can see, but you have SIE, which this option sets interval in minutes for activating clients. You have SRE, you have SPRT, this option says port. SDNS enables DNS, disable DNS with CDNS. So if you are interested in more details, you can stop the video, I would say, and you can read it. But SPRI sets the KMI priority to normal, CPRI sets priority to low, and you have act type. This option sets a value in the registry that limits a volume activation to a single type. Now we have token-based activation configuration options. You have this command which will list the installed token based on activation issuance licenses. You have RLE option. You have STAO, set the token-based activation only flagged, disabling automatic KMS activation. You have CTAO option. You have LTC, which will list valid token-based activation certificates that can activate installed software. And you have STA, which will force token-based activation by using the identified certificate. You have the Active Directory-based configuration, so you have AD activation online and product key, so collects Active Directory data and starts Active Directory forest activation using the credential that the command prompt is running. You have add activation get ID product key. This option starts Active Directory forest activation in phone mode. You have the add activation apply CID. When you use this option, enter the CID that was provided in the activation telephone call to complete activation. And you have the list that will display all of the activation objects that are available in local computer, and you have del option that delays the specified activation object from the forest. So these are all the options, and maybe I will show you how to use some of them, or basically how to use it in practice. So in order to use it in practice, you have to open either CMD or your PowerShell. Maybe I will open PowerShell because I think this is more comfortable. And now, in order to use it, you have to simply use slmgr. You don't even have to use this VBS option. And now, for example, let's say we want to display this license information. So in order to use this DLI, you have to use slash and DLI. I will press enter, and as you can see, I have Windows script host with the information. As you can see, time-based activation expiration is 180 days. You can use, for example, this DLV, which will be verbose, I would say, so slmgr DLV. So we have advanced information. As you can see, we have a lot of them, so you can check it for you, for example. And maybe this XPR, which will show me the activation expiration date, so slmgr /XPR, like this. And as you can see, Windows Server Standard Evaluation Edition time-based activation will expire on 26th of October 2026. So this is how it works, and this is all the options that you can use with slmgr command on Windows Server. If you found this video helpful, please leave a like, subscribe to the channel, and I hope to see you in the next videos.